Hello and welcome to the special edition of Footcast Social. Well, last week you had the greatest football commentator in the world talking to his Indian fans for 30 minutes. Guess what? 30 minutes weren't enough for the fans. So we requested Martin to come back again and he kindly agreed. So here we have Martin Tyler joining us straight from London, talking to his Indian fans all about his cricketing journey, his football World Cup and also the Aguero moment yet again. So joining me straight from London is Martin Tyler. Welcome to the show, Martin. Well, Martin Tyler and Aguero have become inseparable. How was it when you gave him those handwritten notes and framed it and gave it to him after so many years?
Yeah, that was spontaneous. And I found that a guy has become a friend who was a picture framer. Who I had the notes. I couldn't just give them a piece of paper, so I need to get them framed. I need to get them framed at like in the next 12 hours. And I rang around and found somebody who said, I'll give it a go for you. And he did a brilliant job. I'm sure I'd said hello to him and things like that, but we never discussed it in the intervening years, 9 years, obviously, when he left in May. It's his moment. It's his moment. It's Manchester City's moment. It's Roberto Mancini's moment, Vincent Kompany's moment, Edin Dzeko's moment, you know? I feel a bit of a fraud because I didn't kick the ball. I didn't do anything other than feel what, I think most football fans around the world felt at that moment in time. I was the lucky one to be holding the microphone. I don't pick my games. I get told where I should be and what time I should be there. So I thank my boss for sending me there. And because I was the host broadcaster, I suppose it had more shelf life. Maybe some other very good commentators did some very good work that day as well. To say it's not special would be false modesty.
Well, Aguero has already confessed that his father and his son watched that tape again and again. Does that make Martin Tyler a part of the Aguero family?
No, I couldn't possibly. He did say to me that remember when I saw him, he was leaving Manchester City. He was going to get so many awards and so many things. I really felt that I was cluttering up his suitcase, And when I took the notes to him, it became quite a big thing with the 2 pages. And I felt that maybe I said to him, "Look, we don't feel too attached to it or anything, but I just like you to have it. And they are the original notes, and I photocopied them and the photocopy just behind me here. So I've got a copy, but he's got the originals." And no, he said, no, he said, my father will look at it. And there's a lot of detail on it, which will remind him about the moment in time, not just about the goal, about sort of appearances and caps and the league. There's lots of stuff on it. So I hope he's enjoying it. I wish I would, I wish I would be able to say I'm going to commentate on him play again, because that day was special enough. The anniversary match against Everton was, he certainly didn't let any of us down and bowed out in such style. And he's a very humble guy. And it's an honour to have done something that means a little bit to him and his family.
Well, now let's talk about your career as an author. How is that going?
I did a lot of freelance work when I was trying to get established, and I got the chance to do some work at Arsenal. Ken Fryer, who's a wonderful man, allowed me access to the boardroom. I wrote it with a guy called Phil Saw. I only wrote it once, but it's been reprinted a lot of times. I think Phil's updated it. I certainly, it was about, I can remember sitting in the Arsenal boardroom when Ken said, "Well, there you go. You've got all this stuff here. Fill your boots." Basically, it was an official history. So, that was Highbury, and it was a nice period of my life. But I don't do much writing now.
Well, Martin, in your assessment, what has changed over the years with the big 4 clubs?
Now or in history?
No.
Or
how they've changed over the years?
My involvement is purely transitory on match days. I judge the teams by what I call the smell of the fixture. Yeah, it's a bit of history in there, but it's more like the recent history. Who did they play last week? What's their results against this club? And basically, have we, what does today mean?
Well, Martin, this is on the Chelsea camp. According to you, what's happening at the Chelsea right now? Because fans in India are very anxious and curious to know what's shaping up there.
Well, I wish the cause of it hadn't happened, like we all do. I think I can only look at it as somebody who lives like a mile from their training ground and feels that they are a bit stunned by it, but trying to find a day-to-day solution, training, preparing, waiting, really. I hope it works out. I'm sure it will.
Well, Martin, this is a fan question. They want to know which is that one single player that you're privileged to see as a youngster who grew up to be as a legend.
Maybe Rooney, who I saw in the youth team at 16, sensational. And now to see him managing in such difficult circumstances, I think he's proving a lot of people who might have doubted his real commitment to the game. I mean, I never doubted it at all. He's a pure footballer. He was a, what was he called? A prodigy. He lived up to all the billing, broke stacks of records. People say he could have achieved more. I think they should more look at what he did achieve. His record figures for England, for Manchester United are fantastic. And he's taken on boldly a step into, I was brought up with the fact that many great players would become nowhere near good managers because it was too easy for them. Playing the game was too easy for them. So they couldn't translate that into an educational way with their team. So, I would say Wayne would be the one.
Well, let's talk about Rooney and Lampard. What have they done right to become and make that transition from a player to a coach?
Well, I'm not sure Frank will think it's easy at the moment, but I don't know. From their point of view, they're football people, and I think when you're in it, you want to win it, then you just learn your own pathway to how to do it.
Martin, another fan wants to know, when you pick up this mic, are you a fan, a critic, or neither?
Professional, I think. I try to be, in a way, I try to be true to, I think, journalistic principles. I try to be true to the company that has employed me. Try to do the very best that I can with every game that I'm given. Hope for the best.
Well, the World Cup schedule is out. According to you, this current English squad gives you a sense of satisfaction and may be able to get you onto the podium finish. Do you think, is it Harry Kane or Southgate or the combination of both?
It's the system, I think. St George's Park has been terrific. The players now have all grown up. They're the ones that come into the squad. We've got some new ones for this particular squad. Have experience there, most of them anyway. Gareth has taken on a role way beyond football, really. He's been asked about Brexit. He's been asked about pandemics. He's been asked about, obviously, the Qatar situation, the Ukraine war. He's had to be a statesman, and he's handled it brilliantly. And the team have reached a World Cup semi-final, a Nations League semi-final, a European Championship final. They've done all those things with aplomb, I would like to think, with a kind of attitude that connects with the supporters as well, because there's no doubt that that's one of the key elements. They are a very likable group. And I'd like to think that's always been the case with England, but maybe there has been a little bit more of celebrity about it in the past. But this group are feet on the ground. They know there's a lot of competition for places. and maybe because it's in November and December, which suits the European nation, not just England, suits the European nation. It might it might mean that last step could be taken. You know, I don't want to depart this planet with only one England major trophy, having followed the game, having been alive pretty much since the end of the Second World War. That all these tournaments have come and gone, and I've been at a lot of them, and I've had to wave bye-bye to England while I've stayed on, you know, to do commentaries in the later stages. So it's, yeah, they've got a chance, and you know, there'll be all sorts of elements that come into it. But as we sit here now, I'm an England commentator in English language. If I'm covering the tournament, it will be for Australia. So they all don't want England to win, that's for sure. I have to be aware of that. But it is. It could be 2022. Could be a year 22, 66. You know, is there a resonance there? I don't know. Maybe.
Well, Martin, another fan question. It's Qatar World Cup final. England is playing in the final. The scores are tied. Harry Kane runs in, scores in the goal. It's the last minute. And guess what? Martin Tyler is behind the mic. How would that moment be for you?
I can't tell you, because the one thing that probably, I'm a very easygoing person, you know, and the one thing that probably just slightly ruffles my feathers is the suggestion that we write these things down beforehand and that we think about what we're going to say. You can imagine how, but nobody in their right mind would have been able to anticipate what happened in the Etihad in 2012, you know. So what is said is totally spontaneous, and that goes for all goals. So I can't tell you. I did say once that the one sentence that I've never uttered in commentary that I would like to utter before I retire is England have won the World Cup. I think that would be in there quite quite near the final whistle.
Do you get emotional behind the mic or only as a fan?
I mean, as a broadcaster, I'm emotional. Yeah, I think you have to be. I certainly had tears in my eyes between the goal and the presentation in 2012 because it was just an astonishing thing. The tears weren't for anybody. It's just the way I'm built. You know, I cry when I watch movies, and you know, those kind of things I'm not frightened to admit. So yeah, emotional but controlled, hopefully, not wild. I don't know.
Well, is that the reason why you stay away from social media? Peter Drury does. Alan Smith is slightly active, but you're completely off it.
Yeah, I think Alan dabbles a bit, but Peter certainly doesn't. Peter and I are the only two, I think. But no, I haven't got time to do it, to be honest with you. I might knee jerk because I'm emotional, which is another good reason for not being there. I don't want to feel anybody watching this to think that I'm against it. It's a personal choice about my life, not about their life. And obviously plays an important part in the world. It gets a lot of publicity for the things that maybe does wrong, but there's a lot of good that people can reach out to each other in times of need that they wouldn't have been able to do. So I'm not against social media. I'm just not on it.
Martin, let me dig out one of your quotes. The fans are worshipping him. You probably know the reason why, because he's the god of the game. This was about Messi, you said long ago. If you were to pay a tribute to Ronaldo, what would that be?
Well, I've been lucky enough to be able to broadcast during the period where they've just gone head to head in all their records and their trophies and their goals. I admire their goals most of all because it's the hardest thing in football to do. I'm not a great fan of the individual awards, to be honest with you. I'm not even sure that man of the match is worth doing. In some countries, they don't do it at all, or player of the match, whatever now it should be called. I think it's a team game, as I said to you earlier. The team is what makes it such a wonderful thing to be part of, to be in a team whereby you end up with sharing. You share the plaudits, you share the result, you share the bad times as well, and their domination, it speaks for itself, really. Do they need to get another piece of silverware for this or that? I'm not sure. I mean, I can see why there's some commercial success to it, but if there's one thing in football that probably I don't really like is the individual awards, because it's a team game. I've had one or two in my time. Peter's had some, I know, but it's you want it for everybody. I want it for my director, my producer, my cameraman. And television is a big team. It's hard to share it around with everybody, but in a football team, it should be team of the year. I'll have that one, but not the individuals.
Martin, you've got the greatest following in India. If you were to give words of wisdom to the budding commentators, what would that be?
I don't think many players have come. I mean, I played non-league football. Jerry Harrison, who was people around the world will know his work. He played non-league football. Most of the other commentators started in commentary so that they never played, and they came virtually straight into broadcasting from their school or their colleges. So I don't know about the playing of it. I'm glad I played, because I think playing is the very best thing, and it wasn't, I always say I wasn't particularly good, but the level was good. So I was coached by some good people and learned a lot about the game. But that's just my journey. I think now, as I said earlier, the pathway is clear. You can go to broadcast school, you can go to media college, you can do courses, you can get placements through the colleges into workplaces to get work experience. You can get inside, and once you're inside, you can show what you're worth. And that was never possible, really, until the education system grasped the fact that media did actually matter. For those many youngsters out there who would like to do it, go for it. And I don't see any reason. You have to question your passion for it, because it's demanding, antisocial in terms of family life. I get a lot of questions now from young students that I speak to about work-life balance. I never thought about that, and I'm sure there are mistakes in my personal life because I put work first at times where maybe I shouldn't have done. That's not something I can change, but I can understand those questions. But I think you've got to give it everything. There will be a lot of competition, because now the pathway is there for many. I spoke the other day at the University of Derby, and there were 100 students. That's 100 in 1 year and one course. So I know there are a lot more jobs, of not just commentating jobs in football, data analysis, working on websites, and lots and lots of ways of getting a job in football. But the truth is, you have to really want it, and you have to be prepared to make the sacrifices to do it. If you do that, go with a smile, have a right go at it. That's what I always say. Just have a go,
Martin, this is an emotional question about your former roommate, Bob Willis. If you were to go back in time, and if there was one thing that you wanted to say to Bob that you could never say that to him, what would that be?
I told him most things that when we were young, we were very close. I ended up playing some charity cricket matches where I was described as Bob Willis's driver, with all these county cricketers and test players, and I used to get a game because there were never enough. And I used to walk out the bat, and they would say, "This is Martin Tyler, it's Bob Willis's driver," and I was very proud to be that, and I was very proud of being alongside him at the beginning and at the end, really, the beginning of his career. And then when he came to Sky, I didn't see as much of him as I would have liked. So probably I would say to him, Bob and I used to have a lunch every 6 months or so. I wish we'd had more lunches. That's what I'd say. I miss him.
Well, there you had it, the maestro with the mic himself, Martin Tyler, talked to his Indian fans all about football, cricket, and that emotional thing on Bob Willis. Well, keep watching Footcast Social for more such interviews. This is Sunil Yash Kalra signing off on NewsX.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.